Hey guys! I've been having so much fun recently making tutorials for Chronically Awesome. I haven't posted most of them yet, but I promise I will be doing that soon. But anyway, it inspired me to make this little video here, because A, it's a lot of fun, actually, making videos, and B, because I thought this was kind of interesting. When I was still in school, which I'm not right now, but I'm going back in the fall, as most of you probably know already, when I would have to do my medications on campus, my friends were always really, really amused by my dealing with my tube or whatever. For some reason, they just found it really, really interesting, the way that I administer meds through a tube. So it's really late and I'm bored and I have to take my nighttime meds so I can go to sleep. And I thought, hey, why not film it and show everybody how it works. Now, disclaimer, this is not a tutorial video. This is not me giving advice in any way. Because technically you're supposed to do things a little bit differently than I do them. So follow my ritual at your own risk. So this is what happens here. First of all, this is a 1,000 milliliter container, and I always keep it full. I fill it up at night right before I do my bedtime meds. This way it's full for the next morning, because usually I can't really get out of bed in the morning until after I've taken my meds and kind of laid around for a little while until they start working. I have really bad back problems, and that's where most of my pain comes from, so when I wake up in the morning I'm really, really stiff. So it's handy to have everything within reach, and that's pretty much a good idea no matter what your situation is. If you're dependent on medication to be functional, you should definitely have your nightstand well stocked with whatever you might need. I keep everything so that I actually don't even have to roll over to reach for things, so I can literally just wake up and where I'm at, reach over and do what I have to do for my meds. Like I said, this is 1,000 milliliters of water. This is always empty by the end of the day. I make sure to use all of this throughout the day, and I do my meds 4 times throughout the day, because this is basically the only hydration that I'm getting right now. I'm having some trouble with feeds, and I'm not going to get into that right now, but even if I'm not able to run a feed, or if I can only run a partial feed, I'm still getting plenty of water, which is super important because you want to stay hydrated. Okay, so I also keep this little cup, and this is actually a teacup from Starbucks that I got about 1,000,000 years ago, and I've never actually drank tea out of it, but it's very handy for doing meds, to draw up clean water. And then I have my pill crusher here, my syringes, one for meds, one for flush. I only get just so many of these per month. I think I get 5. So I generally use one that's just for water, and then the other one is for meds, and the med one is the one that gets replaced weekly, because it gets kind of corroded after a while and then it doesn't move so easily. This one's actually been around for a while, so it's kind of hard to pull back on it. So I keep them separate. And then we have, these are my regular meds, and you probably can't even really see in here. Today is Thursday, so you can see all I have left is my nighttime meds. And these are all the medications that get crushed. And then I keep the meds that can't get crushed in these little things, and you can see they're labeled, you can see they're labeled AM and PM, so I know which meds I've taken and when I've taken them. The only med that is not present here is Marinol, which is the marijuana pill. It's for nausea, and it does excellent things. before I started it, I wasn't able to tolerate any food orally. So it's really a godsend. But it has to be refrigerated, so that stays in the fridge. And I do not take that at bedtime. I take that 3 times a day, and I take it throughout the day so that, you know, I can eat or try to run feeds or drink or whatever I have to do without getting sick. Okay, so, oh, and the reason for the separation here, even though the meds look very different, is because I had a little mishap not too long ago where I mixed up my Zofran and my Protonix. And Protonix is a PPI and it's enteric coated, so it should not be crushed. And I crushed it and put it through my J-tube, and luckily nothing happened, you know, but it's not a good idea. You should never crush PPIs and put them through a J-tube. So after that little mishap, I started separating out what I had to take orally and what it was okay to crush, so that I don't even have to think about it. Okay, so for starters, we go into the big med thing, and there's a lot of, let's see if you can see this. There's a lot of pills there. This is my Bedtime Regimen. And I apologize for my really messy room. So those all go in here. And like I said, this is not a tutorial. This is purely for my own amusement and the amusement of my friends who, for some reason, really enjoy watching me do this. Because all the instructions say that you're supposed to, all the Tubie instructions say that you're supposed to separate the meds and crush them individually. But as the saying goes, ain't no one got time for that. So I just crushed them, and I love this little crusher that I got. I got it on Amazon, and it's like softish rubber around it, so it's like easy to grip. Good stuff. So I crush it and then just kind of shift it, because I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but it's not exactly a powder right away. So I generally move it around a little bit, crush it again, try to make it as fine of a powder as possible, so that it doesn't clog, because clogs are not fun. Okay, so that was pretty good. I got that in 2. Sometimes I have to do it as many as 4 or 5 times if I don't have a lot of strength in my hands that day, but I got this one in 2. Okay, so then we take our water, and I'm sorry I can't angle the camera down to the table to show this. I'm going to try to do this without spilling. And I fill it up not quite to the top because I want to have room. And then I pour the water, just plain water in here. And this, if you, like me, have really, really crappy tap water, you should buy distilled, bottled water, or get a filter. I opted for the filter because in the long run it's cheaper. So I have a pure water filter on my faucet because my water is really, really gross and turns this tub and everything yellow. So I don't want to put that in my body. Ugh. Okay, so now we have our water in the little pill powder mix. I use a chopstick. This is a fancy, pretty chopstick. Just because that's who I am. And I stir it up because it does get all cloggy, like at the bottom, and because it's sort of triangled in the center, some of the pill powder goop gets all stuck in there. So I make sure to mix it up like really, really well. Don't want to waste any of it. Okay, so now that we have a nice mixed thing, Faith, get down. Sorry, my cat is trying to get in the picture. We take the med syringe and we just pull it up and make sure there's none in the tip, and then I push the air out very carefully because I've squirted it up before and there's still green liquid Phenergan on my ceiling from when I was on the liquid Phenergan. Now, as you can see, after I did that, there's still some remnant in there. And it seems kind of silly, you know, licking the chopstick, and now I'm going to put water in the crusher again and everything. But when you're on this many medications and you're that dependent on them to function, you really can't afford to waste any of it because you're not getting your full dose, and that can end not well. So if you can see, the water's, you know, cloudy still, and there's still quite a bit of powder. So that's why we squeezed all the air out of this syringe, so that when I do this and pull it back up again, it doesn't just drip the medication right back into the crusher, because that would be the opposite of what we want. Okay, so it's pretty much empty. That's just a scratch that you see on there from the chopstick. There's probably a better method of doing this, but I don't know what it is. So that's all nice and prepped. I'm ready to go. And balancing it like this is really, really stupid, especially if you have 3 really, really rambunctious cats. But I'm doing it anyway. And then we pull up the water into the other syringe, and I like to leave a little bit of air in it because I have the 24-inch extensions for the Mickey GJ button. So I like to push a little bit of air into it, right almost up into the base of the button, to make sure that it's truly, you know, everything goes through it and there's not a whole lot of water left in here, because then it'll start dripping out and leaking and bad. And as you can see, I'm not going to be showing off my fat belly to you guys. I started wearing this like this because when I had it coming out the bottom of my shirt, it was getting caught on stuff all the time, and it's really, really painful. So, as you can see, this is actually an extension. It plugs into the J port, so both of these ports on here go to the J. Technically, this bigger one is a feed port, and this smaller one is for meds, but as you can see, I use the big syringes for meds because the little syringes are way too little, and I'd have to use an awful lot of them. But these both go to the J, so it doesn't matter which one I use. This clamp keeps it from leaking, or theoretically keeps it from leaking. And so I basically just open it up, and you notice the clamp is still closed because the minute you unclamp this, I have a lot of intestinal pressure, and I tend to get volcano spurtiness, and it's gross. So let me do the meds, and it fits right in there, nice and tight. And then I unclamp it and make sure to unflatten the tube, because if it stays flat, it's going to clog. And then this is just a habit, but I put my finger over the med port, because I have had times where I'm pushing down and it gets a little bit clogged for a minute, and it'll blow the med port open, and then everything comes back up out of the med port, and you lose all those meds. And any spoonie will tell you doctors are not very happy when you call them and say, I had a tube explosion and I need more medication. And now I'm just pushing the medication. I'm probably going faster than most people do, but I mean, I tolerate it, so that's really a matter of what do you tolerate. And you can see actually that I stop it right about there, maybe a little bit higher. I don't want to push it down all the way yet. And then I clamp it, so no explosion. And then I go back into my little green teacup thing over here, and I pull some more water up in, because again, there's remnants of pill in there. And as you can see, there's several steps where there's remnants of pill left behind. So if I just ignored all of that, I would probably be losing about half of my medication along the way. So it's better to just, you know, be anal attentive about it and not risk missing, you know, any of the medication. So here we go. And again, I stop it right here near the top and buckle the clamp again. Now we're done with this syringe. And then we take our water And I always make sure the water is prepped first. This way the medication mix doesn't stay in the tube for too long. And so now what I'm doing is just plain water. I'm just flushing it because this tube goes from where you see it here all the way down. It's 24 inches long, it's 2 feet, and then plugs into my button that's on my stomach. And then that tube goes all the way down through my stomach, past the stomach, into the first part of the intestine, and it goes past the duodenum down into the jejunum. So it's pretty long, and you want to make sure that you're flushing all of the stuff out of the tube, because if the medication's just sitting in the tube, it's not going to help you any. I know most people actually don't use as much water as I do. These are 60 milliliter syringes, and as you can see, I just did 2.5 of them into my tube, and a lot of people can't tolerate that. I didn't used to be able to, but I think at this point I've been a Tubie for so long, 2 years actually, this month, that my intestines are just like, whatever, like nothing bothers them at this point. And so that's pretty much it. That's it. My meds are taken. I actually already took my oral meds earlier, because one of the medications that I take, that little small pinkish pill there, is a time-release Oxycontin, and so it has to be taken orally because you can't crush time-release meds or you'll get really, really sick and overdose. And my doctor told me that it takes about an hour or so to kick in, so I generally take it ahead of time. This way, by the time, like now, where I'm taking my other medications, which include my sleep medication, Klonopin, you know, the Oxycontin has already had a chance to start working. And so in a few minutes here, it doesn't take long. When you're taking meds through the intestine, they absorb a lot quicker than just swallowing a pill. So they hit me pretty fast, and apparently it's pretty amusing for my friends to watch, but you guys are not going to get to see that because I'm about to sign off here. Anyway, you know, if I take the Oxycontin and whatnot ahead of time, then by the time I do these meds and everything, I can just lay down, turn on the TV. Usually I would like to watch NCIS or West Wing or Bones, and just kind of chill until I fall asleep, which doesn't take too long. And you can actually probably already see that my eyes are kind of starting to close a little bit. That happens pretty quickly. I get this droopy eye thing going on, and you know, it doesn't hit as fast as like IV medications do. If you're a healthy person watching this and you've ever been in the emergency room, when they give you IV medication, you know, it hits you like, you know, a train. But it does hit pretty quickly, for me at least. I know people with slower intestinal motility aren't that lucky and don't have it hit as quickly. And maybe don't have it hit at all, which sucks, and I feel really bad for them. But at this point in my life, I'm still pretty lucky. My intestines are not beautiful, but they're functional enough, and so they absorb my medications pretty quickly. I'm definitely already starting to feel a little bit tired now, and I'm definitely ready to lay down and rest. But I'm going to try to upload this video first. So I hope you guys enjoyed this and found it amusing. Shout out to Bender and to Bree and to Carly, because I knew how much you guys love to watch this stuff. So this was for you, and for my other healthy friends, and, you know, my brother and everybody else who's never gotten to see exactly what goes on over here. That's pretty much what goes on. And then if I was doing a feed, I would then hook up to the feed, but I'm not. You can actually see my IV pole here. Has nothing on it because I'm not even going to bother running a feed right now because I know that it will make me sick. So that's my nighttime, you know, routine. That's my med routine, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I don't sound like too much of a dork, and good night.